Bible says, my king is the king of the Jews. The Bible says, my king is the king of the Jews. He's the king of Israel. He's the king of righteousness. He's the king of the ages. He's the king of heaven. He's the king of glory. He's the king of kings. And he's the Lord of lords. That's my king. I wonder, do you know it? My king is a sovereign king. No means of measure can define his limitless love. He's enduringly strong. He's entirely sincere. He's eternally steadfast. He's immortally graceful. He's imperially powerful. He's impartially merciful. Do you know him? He's the greatest phenomenon that has ever crossed the horizon of this world. He's God's Son. He's a sinner's Savior. He's the centerpiece of civilization. He's unparalleled. He's unprecedented. He is the loftiest idea in literature. He's the highest personality in philosophy. He's the fundamental doctrine of true theology. He's the only one qualified to be an all-sufficient Savior. I wonder if you know him today. He supplies strength for the weak. He's available for the tempted and the tried. He sympathizes and he saves. He strengthens and sustains. He guards and he guides. He heals the sick. He cleanses the lepers. He forgives sinners. He discharges debtors. He delivers the captive. He defends the feeble. He blesses the young. He serves the unfortunate. He regards the aged. He rewards the diligent, and he beautifies the meek. I wonder if you know him. He's the key to knowledge. He's the wellspring of wisdom. He's the doorway of deliverance. He's the pathway of peace. He's the roadway of righteousness. He's the highway of holiness. He's the gateway of glory. Do you know him? Well, his life is matchless. His goodness is limitless. His mercy is everlasting. His love never changes. His word is enough. His grace is sufficient. His reign is righteous. And his yoke is easy. And his burden is light. I wish I could describe him to you. Yes, he's indescribable. He's incomprehensible. He's invincible. He's irresistible. You can't get him out of your mind. You can't get him off of your hand. You can't outlive him, and you can't live without him. Well, the Pharisees couldn't stand him, but they found out they couldn't stop him. Pilate couldn't find any fault in him. Herod couldn't kill him. Death couldn't handle him, and the grave couldn't hold him. Yeah! That's my king. That's my king.
Amen. Amen. We come tonight just to worship and just give all glory and honor and praise to the King who has saved us from sin and death. You guys want to go ahead and stand with us tonight as we begin to sing? We're going to do a new song this week tonight, and it kind of echoes kind of that video by just saying, do you really know our King and who our King really is? And so I'm going to sing you guys through the chorus a couple times to get you guys familiar with that, and then we'll go ahead and worship. So if you guys want to throw the words on the screen, we'll read them together. It says, our God is greater, our God is stronger, God, you are higher than any other, and our God is healer, He is awesome in power, and He is our God. And so I'm going to sing that a couple times, and then we'll go ahead and get started in worship. So here we go, it goes like this. Our God is greater. Our God is greater, our God is stronger, God, you are higher than any other, our God is healer, awesome in power, our God is thinking, our God is greater, our God is greater, our God is stronger, God, you are higher than any so much just for allowing us to be here. It's nothing that we deserve, but it's truly a gift from you. It's because of your grace and your love and your mercy that we're able to be here tonight, serving you, giving you everything that we have, lifting your name high, because you're a God, and we are not. And so for that tonight, that you may be glorified in what we do, and that it may be all about you, because friend of mine. Perfect in power, matchless in glory. Matchless in glory, nothing is greater, brilliant creator, friend of mine. You're never just coming for you. Lifting your name high, know that you're going to be glorified no matter what we do, and that you don't need any of us for you to be glorified, dear God, that you can just do it all on your own, but you just allow us just to come in your presence, bring you glory and honor and praise. I thank you so much for that, and I thank you for the fact that you don't need anybody, and that you need any of us, but you allow us to come and worship you. And so I pray that we are not distracted tonight by anything that's going on, whether everything sounds good, whether it sounds bad, whether there's words on the screen or not. Dear God, you're going to be glorified because you deserve our everything. And we're not just going to stop because something doesn't work, but we're going to continue to worship you because you are God and so worthy of our praise. And so I thank you so much for tonight and the blessing it is just to come and worship you. And so I pray this all in your son's holy name. Amen. As you go and take a seat.
What were you saying? Was the computer crashed? I don't know what you were saying, man. Hey, how you doing? Great, thanks. Appreciate it. Man, tonight's just one of those nights, yes? Here's the deal. You look at me. You look at me like sheer terror in your eyes, man. Oh, that's awesome. Hey, guys, give it up for Adam Trotter, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, man, that's awesome. Hey, here's what we're going to do tonight. Man, I don't even know. I was telling the guys backstage. First off, man, I'm so excited to be back preaching, man. It's been a month since I preached, so I'm excited. Which may be a good thing, which may not be. We'll see how long I go. Just kidding. And so, but here's what I want to do tonight. This is the first time, I think ever, this is the first time where I have no idea where I'm going to start tonight. Which means I have absolutely no idea where I'm going to land tonight. So I've been literally studying for this series for the last 3 weeks leading up to this. And so I just got like a ton of stuff. And as I've just been studying, as I've just been wrestling with these texts over and over and over. And when I say wrestle, I mean just wrestling with these texts. I have no idea what I'm going to say tonight. Well, I have no idea where I'm going to start tonight. And I have no idea where we're going to land tonight. So we're just going to jump in, just like full boat jump in and see where the Holy Spirit takes us tonight. Sound good? You guys ready for that? Is that cool? Yeah? For you guys? Awesome. We're just okay, so, hey, I'm going to open in prayer, and we're going to just jump straight in. Sound good? Awesome. God, we love you. God, we often just say we love you. We often just speak words that just don't match our life. So, Father, tonight as we open the pages of your Scripture, as we open and see your words and listen to your words, Father, I pray that your words penetrate our heart. Father, I pray that we get a new understanding of what a shepherd is and what a shepherd does and who a shepherd and who it is that a shepherd is and what he does and what it looks like and how he leads and how they guide and how they bring us to pastures and how they bring us to still waters and how they make us lie down. Father, all of this points to you. All this points to your heart, Father. You are the good shepherd. Father, your heart is the heart of a shepherd. And Father, tonight I pray that as just aimless, wandering, defenseless sheep, Father, tonight I pray that you just draw us into your hearts. Into your heart, Father, I pray that you draw our hearts to come close. So close, to be so intimate, so much proximity, so near to you, Father, that we know your voice and what that sounds like. And no longer do we just aimlessly wander, but Father, we now have a direction and a trajectory of where you're taking us and where you're leading us, Father. Tonight, we love you and we thank you. And we don't say that it's just mere words. We do love you and we do thank you, Father. Tonight, this is our expression of wanting to love you more, of wanting to know you more, of wanting to dig in deeper with you. So in your precious name we pray. Amen. Matthew chapter 11. Matthew chapter 11. We talked about this off. Matthew chapter 11, verse 28, verse 29, verse 30. Verse 28 says, "Come to me, all who are weary and those who are burdened, and I will give you rest." But verse 29 says this. Verse 29 says, "My yoke is easy and my burden is light." Remember last time I preached, so a month ago, remember I put the picture of the yoke up there. Remember we walked through, remember I showed you old man McGee, Grandpa McGee, dragging his son behind on the oxen with the yoke, and we were showing what an oxen does, and we were showing the weight of the burden of the weight of following the Old Testament law, of what it means in comparison to the freedom that we have with Christ. Remember that several weeks ago, 3 weeks ago now, 4 weeks ago. With that, but here Jesus is saying, my yoke is easy. Take my yoke upon you, he says. What's a yoke? Now, literally, this means Jesus' teaching. So Jesus is saying, take my teaching, take my words upon you. Take my words upon you. Everything that I say, take my words upon you and learn from me. This is a phrase so often we've taken this scripture, we've taken this passage, we've quoted it so many times, we've unpacked it so many different ways, and yet we meet back here in the same place with the same set of verses. Why? Because Jesus says, take my yoke upon you. The next part, but learn from me. This word learn, he's specifically talking to us. He's showing specifically our responsibility. Once we listen to the words of Christ, once we listen to the preaching, once we listen to the teaching, once we listen to Christ taking his yoke upon us, how do we respond to that? We respond by learning. We respond. It is our responsibility to learn. So in John chapter 10, open your Bible to John chapter 10. In John chapter 10, I'm pretty sure it's verse 11. John chapter 10, verse 11, Jesus says, an unbelievably provocative statement. He says, I am the good shepherd. He says, I am the good shepherd. In verse 7, he says, I tell you the truth. I am the gate for the sheep. Now we know over and over in John, because it's not one of the synoptic gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, we know that John gives us a little bit of a different perspective. What's the perspective John has given us? He's kind of giving us a behind the scenes, kind of an insider perspective of following Jesus, and following Jesus rather closely. But Jesus, I think there's 7 or 8 I am statements in John that Jesus makes. And every time Jesus makes an I am statement in John, it gets more provocative and more provocative and more provocative. He brings more suspense with each time he says specifically that I am something. Arguably the most provocative was where he says that I am the good shepherd. Now why is this provocative? He says I am the good shepherd because for thousands of years, the Jews, the nation of Israel, has been waiting for the good shepherd. For thousands of years, of all the prophecy, the countless prophecies that have been talking about the coming Lamb, that have been talking about the coming shepherd, they have been waiting with bigger anticipation for the Messiah, for anticipation of the shepherd who is going to shepherd the nation of Israel, who is going to shepherd this wandering, defenseless, aimless nation. In the Old Testament, we see the leaders, the men who were called, who were designated by God to lead the nation of Israel. We see them being called shepherds. We see them being denoted as shepherds. And so all throughout the Bible, we're going to take a quick little journey. All throughout the Bible, we see over and over and over again the word shepherd, or the word sheep, or the word goat, or the word ram. If you were to look up sheep, goat, ram, shepherd, if you were to Google it, you'd see over 700 references of sheep, shepherd, goat, ram. This is such a vibrant metaphor in scriptures. So what do we know about a metaphor? We know a metaphor basically takes two objects and compares them to two like objects. So these objects are really almost synonymous. They're really almost the same exact thing. They're almost identical. And a metaphor takes this one and says it's like this one. They're the same. And so over and over throughout Scripture, Jesus just speaks in so many metaphors. The point of a metaphor is to show some deep technicolor truth. Now, Jesus kind of does this in two ways. Jesus preaches. So we see Jesus on the scene preaching. Sometimes he's preaching, other times he's teaching. Now what's preaching? Basically preaching is this. Preaching is the act of proclaiming. So when we open up the scriptures, sometimes we talk to guys who say, no, I'm not a preacher, I'm a teacher. Some guys have more of a style where they teach through the scriptures. Other guys have more of a style where they preach through the scriptures. I'm a preacher. So when we go through the scriptures, I'm proclaiming, and what are we proclaiming? We're proclaiming the truth for here and now, based on this passage of scripture that the Holy Spirit wants to teach us here and now. Preaching is proclaiming the truth that God wants us here and now. This is reserved for us at this moment. Eugene Peterson says that preaching, Jesus takes these old words, he resurrects these old words and brings them back to life. So when we preach, we kind of resurrect these old words back to life. Now here's the difference with preaching and teaching. Teaching, specifically in the first century, is much different from the teaching that we're accustomed to today. Unfortunately, North American education school system, you guys know I rant and rave on this all the time. North American education is terrible. And let me tell you how. The teaching, by and large, in the North American education school system, by and large, the teachers, the lecturers, the profs, do our thinking for us. So we show up to school, they do our thinking for us, and essentially we just have to regurgitate on the form of a test what our teachers tell us. Yes? By and large. Now, you have to kind of figure out math if you like math. How many people like math? Freak, put your hand down. And so, math is a sin. And so, besides that, but even at math, they still teach us you're supposed to arrive at the answer this way. But we know there's several different ways to arrive at an answer. But they want you to arrive at it specifically this way. And so in school, teachers tell us what to know, how to know it, and if we can just regurgitate back what to know and how to know it, we get a good grade. Friends, that's not learning. That's memorizing. Now, I'm not saying that there's not something good about taking in knowledge. There's something definitely good about taking in knowledge, but Jesus' teaching was completely different. When Jesus taught, not only did he use the random elements of the day, not only did he seemingly random elements of the day, but when Jesus taught, he spoke in such a way that, yes, it was sparkling, but he spoke in such a way, he's a master communicator, he spoke in such a way that people wanted to journey. He wasn't so much interested in just handing out information as much he was interested in taking people on a journey. So to follow Jesus, to stay close in proximity to Jesus, you would have to learn, you would have to journey, you would literally, this is why he says, take my yoke upon you and learn from me. Why? I am the good shepherd. I am the good shepherd. Jesus claims the role of the shepherd. He claims the role of God. He is telling, already at this point, he's making ridiculous claims at this point. He has said ridiculous things. He's got the entire religious system of the day up in a frenzy. They're freaking out. They're absolutely calling Jesus blasphemy and a blasphemer. They're calling everything he says of the devil. They don't know what to do with this man. And here he claims that he is the Messiah. He claims that he is God. He claims that he's the shepherd that the nation of Israel has been waiting for thousands and thousands of years. This is an unbelievable statement. But here's the deal. We're not ready to learn what this means yet. And oftentimes when pastors, when preachers have preached or taught through John chapter 10, unfortunately we've done a disservice to this, because here's the deal. We will have no idea what John chapter 10 says if we don't know what John chapter 9 says. But unfortunately, here's the deal. We would have no idea what John chapter 9 says if we don't know what Ezekiel chapter 34 says. John chapter 9 is a direct response from Ezekiel chapter. How many ever heard a message preached on Ezekiel before? Okay, sweet. One of us. You're the most spiritual person in this room, because I haven't either. We're going to walk through Ezekiel chapter 34 in a quick second. We turn over to Genesis. Turn to Genesis chapter 4. Genesis chapter 4. If we go back to the creation account, we don't specifically hear about sheep. Sheep are not specifically named in the creation account, but it doesn't take long to see sheep enter the scene. Genesis chapter 4. Adam lay with his wife Eve, and she became pregnant. Remember this word lay. This is the Hebrew version of the Greek version, ginosko. This is talking about the intimacy and the proximity. Adam really knew his wife well, essentially is what this is saying, as you could assume. No laughs, great. Pregnant and gave birth to Cain. She said, with the help of the Lord, I have brought forth a man. Later she gave birth to his brother Abel. So here we have Cain and Abel. I'm going to the story of Cain and Abel. Awesome. You guys remember the photographs. Now Abel kept flocks. Here's the first time in scriptures that we see a shepherd. The first time in scriptures we see that Abel kept flocks and Cain worked the soil. Verse 3. In the course of time, Cain brought some fruits of the soil as an offering to the Lord. Verse 4. But Abel brought fat portions from some of the firstborn of the flock. Now this is incredibly important. Today, we're not going to break this down in more detail. It's coming. Maybe not even next week, probably the week after. But the firstborn of the flock. This is important. We begin to see the first resemblance or the first utterances of a sacrificial system. We begin to see the first utterance of an offering system. Abel, the shepherd, takes from the firstborn and he offers to the Lord. Now, at this point, we begin to see the value of sheep in the scriptures. The Lord looked with favor on Abel and his offering. The Lord looked on favor. He was pleased with the offering of the firstborn sheep. Verse 5. But on Cain and his offering, he did not look with favor. At the beginning, Genesis chapter 4, we begin to see the worth of sheep. We know that sheep are incredibly valuable because of their meat, because of their coat, because of their fur, because of their, what's it called? Thank you. Wool. Because of that, it's a test, you passed. Yes, you get a second. Because of that, sheep were incredibly worth, they have incredible worth. And so what we come to learn, what we come to find out is there's a great myth. How many people have ever heard that sheep are dumb? Raise your hand. Sheep are dumb. Sheep are dumb. Here's the deal. They are dumb. But listen, it's kind of a myth. Because it's not necessarily that sheep are dumb. It's just that sheep are defenseless. And because of their defenselessness, they act irrational. Because of their defenselessness, they act dumb. But they just can't defend themselves. And because of that, sheep without a shepherd will always die. This is important up front. Sheep without a shepherd will always die. And here's the deal. Will they die from predators? Sure, they'll die from predators. A lot of sheep will die from grazing in areas that they shouldn't be grazing in because there's things in those areas that they shouldn't be eating. But a shepherd would know that if that sheep was being led by a shepherd, they wouldn't be led to that pasture. This is really weird. A sheep doesn't know when to stop eating. A sheep will literally bludgeon itself to death. A sheep needs a shepherd to tell them when to eat and how much to eat and at what time of the day to eat and where to eat. A sheep doesn't even, it doesn't mean that they're dumb. It just means that they're aimless wanderers, that they're defenseless. They always need a shepherd. And here we begin to see the worth of these animals. the words of these animals, when we begin to see why 700 plus references of shepherd and sheep exist in the scriptures. Cain's offering of the first fruit it wasn't that it was not necessarily pleasing, but the offering of the lamb was even more pleasing. What happens later on with Lot and Abram? Abram's not yet Abraham. What happens? Why did Lot and Abraham split? They split because the land isn't big enough to sustain both of their flocks. So Lot and Abraham split. What happens when Pharaoh wants to win the favor of Abram? What does he give him? He gives them sheep. At that point in Genesis, we begin to see the worth of sheep again. Not only is sheep reconciling men, reconciling Pharaoh to Abram, but at that point we begin to see sheep reconciling themselves to God, and God reconciles himself to people through sheep. The sacrificial system begins to come into play. Flip over to Genesis chapter 22. I wish, I'm not going to. We spent the whole night here in Origins and seeing Origins Sunday night. I wish I could stay in this passage for the next year. And that sounds ridiculous. I'm dead serious. This passage has absolutely wrecked me. This passage has absolutely wrecked me. Genesis chapter 22. Sometime later, God tested Abraham. He said to him, Abraham, here I am. He replied. Then God said, take your son, your only son Isaac, whom you love, and go to the region of Moriah, sacrifice him. There is a burnt offering on one of the mountains I tell you about. This would be really odd that God would be commanding Abraham to sacrifice his son. This is an incredibly odd request. Now, this wouldn't be odd if the fertility god at the time, and obviously in the time the Egyptians and the other nations at the time had these other gods. One of the fertility gods, it was often known that she would require sacrifices of many kinds. One of the sacrifices would be human sacrifice. This wouldn't have been odd if it was coming from the fertility god, but the fact that it was God, it was Yahweh, it was the God of the nation of Israel. This is a very odd request to sacrifice his one and his only son. Skip up to verse 6. Abraham took the wood for the burnt offering and placed it on his son Isaac. And he carried himself to the fire. He carried himself. And he himself carried the fire and the knife as the two of them went on together. Verse 7. Isaac spoke up and said to his father Abraham. Just bringing it back to Father Abraham, you know what I'm saying? I'm sorry. Father. Yes, my son, Abraham replied. The fire and wood are here, Isaac said. Listen, Isaac's about 16 or 17 years old probably. He's not a young boy who doesn't know what's going on. He knows a little bit what in the world's going on. He says this, he says, but where's the lamb for the burnt offering? Verse 8, Abraham answered, God himself will provide the lamb for the burnt offering. Listen to the hope. What do we know about hope? Whatever we hope in, ultimately we trust in. Whatever we trust in, we ultimately rely upon. Listen to the level of hope that Abraham has in God. Because of that level of hope that he has in God, listen to the depth that he trusts God. He's relying that God is going to make this right. He's relying through obedience, through trust, that this is good. Verse 9, when they reached the place God had told them about, Abraham built an altar there and arranged the wood on it. He bound his son Isaac and laid him on the altar on top of the wood. Then he reached out his hand and took the knife to slay his son. I've got two boys. This is a ridiculous part of Scripture. We want to know how significant sheep and lambs play a role. But the angel of the Lord called out from heaven, Abraham, Abraham. Here I am, he replied, verse 12. Do not lay a hand on the boy, he said. Do not do anything to him. Now I know that you fear God, because you not only withheld from me your son, your only son. Abraham looked up, and there in the thicket he saw a ram caught by its horns. He went over and took the ram and sacrificed it as a burnt offering instead of his son. So Abraham called that place, the Lord will provide. This is a dramatic foreshadowing. The entire scripture foreshadows, the entire Old Testament foreshadows to a moment that another son, and one and only son, will climb another hill with another bundle of wood on his back to be sacrificed, to be the sacrifice, to be the sacrificial lamb, to be the atonement for the sins of the world. This is a brilliant foreshadowing, and God showing the nation, showing us that more is to come. The great rescue is to come. There's more to come. Just trust me. Put your hope in me. Just trust me. Rely upon me. More is to come. Essentially what he's saying here is, I will provide. I will provide. As the great shepherd, as the good shepherd, I will provide for you everything that you need. And in this moment, God provides for Abraham exactly what he needs. In James chapter 2, verses 22 and verse 23, that literally shows and literally says that righteousness, because of the obedient act that Abraham did, it was considered righteous. Why is this important? It was considered righteousness because this is the part of James where he's talking about that if we just have faith with no deeds, what's the point? Abraham, a brilliant picture of not only having faith and trust in God, but willing to do even the greatest, even the deepest, even the hardest of requests. And he trusts God that much. This is where Sunday night with our seniors, I just challenged them, like, are we doing anything hard? Are we doing anything difficult? Are we doing anything of worth? Regardless of what God calls us to do, are we doing it because we trust, because we hope, because we rely? Abraham gives us a brilliant picture of that. Later we see Moses. Moses in Egypt, he's one of the princes. We see him in anger. He kills one of the princes, and he kills one of the Egyptians, and he flees. Where does he flee? He flees out into the desert. He finds shepherdesses and their flock. He sees that they need help. He gets welcomed into the family. He eventually marries one of them. And at that moment, Moses becomes exactly what the Egyptians despised. He becomes a shepherd. In one of his days, as he's pasturing, God comes to him in the form of a burning flame in the midst of a bush and tells him that he wants to rescue his people, the Israelites. Moses pleads with him that this is not going to work. This makes no sense. Pharaoh will not release your people. And he says, use your staff. Use your staff as a witness of me. Use your staff and you will rescue them. He's showing foreshadowing that Moses is going to be the shepherd of the people. Moses is going to be the shepherd of this nation of Israel. He goes back through a series of miracles. Y'all know the story. Through a series of miracles, crazy things happen. Pharaoh releases the Israelites. And upon releasing the Israelites, he says, but you can't take what? You can't take the sheep. You can't take the flock. Again, we see the extravagance. We see the worth of sheep here. You can't take the flock. But what do we know? God's faithful. When the nation of Israel shows up in the promised land, what do they have? They have their flock. Why is this significant? Why is this important? This is leading up to the Passover meal. The institution that God put in place for the nation of Israel to never forget that he rescued, to never forget that he delivered them out of slavery. We see the worth of sheep. From there, we move on to David in 1 Samuel. We see David coming out as a shepherd boy. We'll talk about that later. From there, we move into the prophets. The prophets over and over and over again. Ezekiel being one of them, where he talks about sheep. And we get into the pages of the New Testament, and John the Baptist, the cousin of Jesus, sees Jesus, and what does he say? Behold, the Lamb of God. All throughout Scripture, we see this metaphor of sheep. All throughout Scripture, we see this metaphor of the shepherd. John chapter 10, Jesus calls himself the good shepherd. Flip over to Ezekiel chapter 34, we're going to read. It's important and significant to understand this point. In John chapter 9, we'll talk about this next week. In John chapter 9, that Jesus calls out the leadership of the current nation of Israel. He calls out the Jewish leadership. He's further distancing himself from official Judaism. He's getting further and further away and distancing himself and trying to show the world that there's a new and different way. And I'm the good shepherd, follow me. So over and over and over, we see that sheep know the shepherd's voice. Here, the shepherd in that voice is calling out the leadership in John chapter 9. John chapter 9 is a direct result and very similar to Ezekiel chapter 34. Ezekiel chapter 34, Ezekiel's about 26 years old. The Babylonian empire just overthrew, is in the process of overthrowing Israel. Israel has just been overthrown 8 years while Ezekiel is fleeing and being led into Babylon. Daniel's already been in Babylon for 8 years, becoming a Babylonian bureaucrat. And so, just put a little timeline, a little perspective for you. Daniel's already been in Babylon for 8 years. Ezekiel, 26 years old, is now as a prisoner of war being made upon with thousands of other Jews, is being used as a warning and trying to tell the Jewish nation to just literally lay down, to surrender, or you too will end up like these other prisoners, like these other exiles. They get thrust in exile. Absolute bedlam and chaos is happening in the history of the nation of Israel right now. And Ezekiel, who was in the line to be a priest at the temple, now is assigned a different job. Instead of being a priest, now in exile, he becomes a prophet of God. It's the role of a prophet. A prophet is literally God speaking to prophets, and the prophet can speak to man. The role of a priest is a priest, or a person speaking to a priest, or a priest can speak to God. See the difference? God is using Ezekiel to specifically say something to the nation of Israel. Specifically in chapter 34, he wants to say this. The word of the Lord came to me, Son of man, prophecy against the shepherds of Israel. Who's he talking to here? He's talking about he's again talking about the Jewish leadership. The time has come when the Jewish leadership is corrupt. The priests are corrupt. The priests are in union with the magistrates, with the kings, and with the princes, and they're paying them off. The tithes and the offerings that are coming in from the Jewish people, they're not using it to push back in the ministry and to further the kingdom and to further the ministry of God, but instead they're using it to lavish themselves. It's all corrupt. Everything's going on, and he's calling them out. Shepherds of Israel, prophecy and say to you then, this is what the sovereign Lord says. Woe to the shepherds of Israel who only take care of themselves. Should not shepherds take care of the flock? Who's the flock? He's specifically talking about the people as a whole. He's talking about their entire well-being. He's talking about the sheep who are sick, the sheep who are in need, the sheep who are oppressed, the sheep who are caught. He's talking about being a shepherd. What does a shepherd do? A shepherd leads and guides. A shepherd takes care. A shepherd literally keeps sheep alive. A shepherd literally is the sole person who keeps the sheep alive. He's calling out the shepherds. Again, in the Old Testament, people who were in leadership were called shepherds. He's calling out the Old Testament leadership, and he's bringing them to the mat because they are not doing what they've been called to do. And he's about to bring judgment, as he's already currently bringing judgment. Verse 3, you eat the curds, which is this is the fat. You eat the fat, this is the best parts of the lamb. You eat the curds, clothe yourselves with the wool, and slaughter the choice animals, which you do not take care of the flock. This goes against everything that they were supposed to do. Leviticus chapter 22, verse 27, Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 4, talks about the first lamb, the very first lamb. This was a special moment. The first lamb was to be given as an offering after 7 days. Why after 7 days? Leviticus chapter 22, why after 7 days? God knew that the first week, the first 7 days, that a lamb is with his mother. This is the same exact thing from a mother to a child. When that mother gives birth to a child, there's an immediate bond that takes place. There's an immediate moment that bond takes place, that they're beginning to get nurtured. In the first 7 days, even oxytocin at this point is released. As helping mom become a mom to take care. Milk's coming in, and they're taking care of this lamb. If the lamb was taken immediately and given a sacrifice, it would be so difficult on the mom, the mom would probably die. God knew the natural process that was taking place and knew after 7 days it would be be a little bit easier for mom to be able to survive, so that mom again would one day be able to give birth to another lamb of her own. God, being the sense of God, being the shepherd that God was, he had the best interests at heart, even for sheep. And at this point, the priests are doing everything they're not supposed to do. They're even taking the wool, they're even taking the finest linen, which again, the very first coat of a sheep is the finest. And so what we learn is also the smallest. So the finest is the best. And what's God saying here? God's saying is, I don't want more. I want the best. I don't want more. I want the best. What did he tell Abraham? I don't want more. I want your one and only son. And when Abraham, in full submission, in full trust, in full reliance, because he had complete hope in who God was and what God was going to do, when that took place, God provided. He doesn't want more. He just wants our best. This brings into focus later on in Luke, when the poor widow who has absolutely nothing. And as the Pharisees are writing these large checks and dropping them in the temple treasury, and the little poor widow who has nothing brings and drops 2 leptas. Literally, they're fractions of a day's, they're fraction of a penny. Fractions of a day's wages. When he drops them, what does Jesus say? What does Jesus say about the Pharisees? He says they're giving out of something that they'll never miss. But this poor widow, by the way, bringing a poor widow as a place of honor and using her as an example, incredibly provocative. But this poor widow, she extravagantly gave from that which she couldn't afford. God isn't interested in giving in the most or giving more. God isn't interested in giving the best. Because when we give our best, he recognizes that we're fully submitted to him, to his lordship, to his kingship, in full trust, in full hope, in full reliance. In that moment, God provided for Abraham. In this moment, the priests are doing the exact opposite. They're, instead of offering the first lamb, they're keeping it for themselves. Instead of offering the first coat, instead of offering the first bowl, which is the finest linen, it's the least but it's the best. Instead of offering it, they're keeping it for themselves, so they can lavish themselves with this new lifestyle that they've been living as they've been keeping the tithes and offerings. This is completely corrupt at the time. And at this point, in her latest book, Margaret Feinberg and Scotty McVine, she's hanging out with this modern day shepherd. And she's talking about there's no such thing as bad shepherds. You either have shepherds or you don't have shepherds. There's no such thing as bad shepherds. This is what she would call, these are non-shepherds, because real shepherds are known completely for love. Shepherds love their sheep know them. Most shepherds even name their sheep. This is the exact opposite. Verse 4, you have not strengthened the weak or healed the sick or bound up the injured. A good shepherd knows and pays the most attention to the weak ones. A good shepherd takes care of the weakest ones, takes care of the ones who are ill, takes care of the injured ones. A good shepherd knows how to bind a broken leg. A good shepherd knows exactly what it needs to do to keep the sheep close to itself. Also, by the way, over and over again in Scripture, we see moments of sheep after they've been injured, they stick close to the shepherd, and that sheep will never leave the shepherd again. Some say, Luke chapter 15, the parable of the lost sheep. Remember, he says, a good shepherd leaves the 99 and goes in search for the one. A lot of scholars believe that if a sheep wandered off and they went and they found their sheep, because a good shepherd goes and finds his sheep. The exact opposite from what was happening in Ezekiel's day. When that shepherd, a lot of scholars believe that when they went and they found the sheep, the shepherd would literally break one of their legs. Upon breaking one of their legs, the image that's given in scriptures is that that shepherd finds the sheep and puts it on their shoulders. Why do they put it on their shoulders? Because the sheep can no longer take care of themselves. Why does the shepherd break his leg? He breaks his leg because now the sheep learns that it's completely dependent on the shepherd. And as the shepherd resets the leg, binds it, this sheep stays the closest to the shepherd, and the shepherd gives this sheep the most attention, and this sheep goes so close to the shepherd that sheep never leaves the shepherd again. What a brilliant picture of Jesus with his children. A brilliant picture that Jesus allows things to happen in life. That God is allowing the nation of Israel to be exiled again and experience complete and utter destruction. By the way, Babylonian captivity through King Nebuchadnezzar in about 5 to 6 years is about to completely destroy Jerusalem. Their temple and everything is about to be completely destroyed. In the midst of this catastrophe, in the midst of this absolute complete disaster, Ezekiel is charged with showing and keeping the nation of Israel together, saying God is sovereignly working this out for the good. It is calling out the people who don't. You have not brought back the strays or searched for the lost. You have ruled them harshly and brutally. Again, this is nothing what a shepherd would do. Verse 5. So they were scattered because there were no shepherd. Numbers, again in Matthew, again in Mark. We see Jesus saying in the New Testament, in the Old Testament, we see that they look, Moses saying they look like they're sheep without a shepherd. What happens when sheep don't have a shepherd? They die. When sheep don't have a shepherd, they wander aimlessly. A sheep can't find its own food. They wander aimlessly. This is why oftentimes we've heard sheep just walk off cliffs, right? You guys have heard that before? Sheep, they're so dumb they'll just walk off a cliff. They're just following the sheep that's in front of them. They get behind in single line and they just follow one after another. They don't even know it's there because they're literally just literally go back and YouTube pictures and videos of sheep, modern day shepherds, and you see that they're just lined up one after another. And they have no idea what's in front of them. And by the way, a good shepherd always leads out in front. You'll never see a shepherd leading off on the side. They'll free the sheep out. You'll never see a shepherd pushing from the back. Good shepherds always are out in front and they lead. They lead them to the places that they want you to go. They're saying because you're a bad shepherd, because you're no shepherd at all, they're being scattered. They became food for all the wild animals. Verse 6, my sheep wandered all over the mountains and on every high hill, and they were scattered over the whole earth, and no one searched or looked for them. Does this not sound like modern day America? Sheep being led without a shepherd, being scattered all over the mountainsides, being eaten up by the wild animals, eating the things that they shouldn't be eating, finding disease, being caught up, just aimlessly wandering sheep without a shepherd. Verse 7, therefore you shepherds, hear the word of the Lord. As surely as I live, declares the sovereign Lord, because my flock lacks a shepherd, and so has been plundered and has become food for all the wild animals. And because my shepherds did not search for my flock, but cared for themselves, rather than for my flock. Verse 9, therefore, O shepherds, hear the word of the Lord. This is what the sovereign Lord says. Verse 10, I am against the shepherds, and I will hold them accountable for my flock. I will remove them from tending the flock so that the shepherds can no longer feed themselves. I will rescue my flock from their mouths, and it will no longer be food for them. Listen to the foreshadowing of Christ here. Verse 11. What we're doing here, this is called a meta-narrative. This is called a meta-drama. This is the narrative before or in front of the true narrative that is Christ. This is what comes before. Everything points to Jesus. Verse 11. For this is what the sovereign Lord says. I myself will search for my sheep and look after them. As a shepherd looks after his scattered flock when he is with them, so will I look after my sheep. I will rescue them from all the places where they have been scattered on the day of clouds and darkness. I will bring them out of the nations and gather them from the countries, and I will bring them into their land, into their own land. I will pasture them on the mountains of Israel, in the ravines, in all the settlements in the land. I will, verse 14, tend them in good pasture, and the mountain heights of Israel will be their grazing land. It's the best parts of Israel. And there they will feed in rich pasture in the mountains of Israel. Verse 15, I myself will tend my sheep and have them lie down, declares the sovereign Lord. Verse 16, I will search for the lost and bring back the strays. Do you see the heart of a shepherd? If there was ever a moment for us in scriptures to see the heart of the shepherd, if someone's wandered, if someone's scattered, God's saying, I will go and I will get my sheep, and I will bring them together, and I will pasture them, and I will lead them, and I will feed them, and they will find their complete worth and dependence in me. Why? Because they're literally friends have taught me, they're literally worthless flock without a shepherd, and I will make them of worth. I will bring life to the flock because on their own, they're completely lost. God said, I will make a way, and I will bring the flocks back together. Remember, he's speaking of his people. This is a metaphor. It's a matter that you need to recognize over and over throughout history. That we have been like sheep without a shepherd, just aimlessly wandering. And because of that, some have scattered and wandered. Some of you guys have grew up with people who were once associated, affiliated, who were connected at some point with a community of faith. But now they're scattered and they're just aimlessly wandering. A good shepherd knows and gets them. A good shepherd leaves the 99 and goes and finds them and gets them and brings them back. You want to know the only way, the only defense a sheep knows? The only defense a flock has? They have watchmen. Each flock has a watchman, or they have a watch animal. Sometimes it's a dog. Other times it's a llama or something that just gives out a warning sign if there's a predator. As soon as they hear the warning sign, you know the only defense mechanism besides the shepherd that a sheep has naturally is they immediately get into one huge huddle. They immediately find solace. They immediately find strength in community. Community is the only natural defense that sheep have. We're sheep. We're sheep aimlessly wandering without a shepherd. The only defense that we have naturally is to come together and to walk together, to live together, to journey together. When we fall, we pick each other up. We bring each other back. This is where James says, if someone's wandered from the truth, bring them back to the gospel. This is where Paul says, if someone's wandered from the truth, love them, literally love them in truth back to the gospel. This is what good shepherds do. And we can't wait for other people to do it for us. Take my yoke. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me. For I am the good shepherd, Jesus says. I'm the good shepherd. We're going to unpack this next week. We're going to unpack this in great detail, in great depth. And the scripture is going to come alive in technicolor. No longer is just this version of a shepherd, just this remote, random version that we just, here's another place we see sheep, and here's another place we see shepherd. And here's Jesus calling himself a shepherd. We see shepherds all throughout the scripture. He's not saying he's just some shepherd. He's saying from Ezekiel chapter 34 that I will come and I will gather my sheep and I will bind my sheep together and I will defend my sheep and I will feed my sheep and I will make my sheep lie down, which by the way is one of the most difficult things someone can ever do is actually get a sheep to lie down. We'll talk about that in a couple weeks. A good shepherd gets his sheep to lie down. One time they lie down is when they feel comfortable, when they have complete hope and trust and reliance. All throughout Scripture, the picture of the shepherd is simply this: I will provide. I will provide. I will provide. And therefore, the sheep is simply this: I'm absolutely 100% completely dependent on the shepherd who will provide. The metaphor of the shepherd is I will provide. The metaphor of the sheep is I'm dependent on the shepherd to provide for me to have life. Which, by the way, John 10:10 says, I'll come to give life and life in full. The scripture comes in technicolor, vivid detail for us. When we understand, when we see, when it's just breathe out the fullness of life. So tonight, even for me as we wrestle together through this, man's going to come up and just respond to it. I wonder for you, I found my place, I found my heart kind of in a funky place tonight. This funky place that I found my heart in is, even as I preach this, and although I've known my entire life, and if you've been in church for a long time, if you've been in church as a kid, there's a good chance that you've seen something cheesy with a sheep and a shepherd which by the way, when Jesus is born, the shepherds go to Jesus and their sheep there. Can you see the worth? We oftentimes look at the sheep and shepherd like they're worthless. But when the shepherds go to the birth of Christ, you see the worth as being presented to Christ in that moment. Look, if you've been in church for a while and you're looking throughout scriptures and you see shepherds, you see sheep, it's brought connotations of that here's just another moment that we see sheep and shepherd. It's just redundant. And the master communicator who is Jesus next week, John chapter 10, we had John chapter 10. We see just his masterful, his love. We see the depth. So I found my heart in a funky place because I know this. I'm studying this. And yet I still rely upon myself. You know what I'm saying? Anyone else there? I still rely upon myself. I still know that I can still do this. And if I can just do this, I know I can take care of myself. And over and over and over, I had a ridiculously difficult conversation this morning. And just took the wind out of the sails and kind of left me really empty. And all day I just struggled all day with over and over again as I'm studying for time. I will provide. I'm a good shepherd. I will provide. I'm a good shepherd. I will provide. I'm a good shepherd. I will provide. And so I want to respond kind of in two ways to this. Even though you're here tonight, you still might be one of the sheep who scattered. Even though you're here tonight in community, you still might be one of the sheep who's just aimlessly wandering. Tonight, through Moses, through David, through Abraham, through the prophets, through John the Baptist, through Jesus, can we see over and over again that Jesus, I will provide. Tonight, for you, what does that look like for you? Wrestle with that image. Wrestle with that metaphor. May this metaphor come to life for you tonight, for me tonight. That's one way to respond. If you're here and you're struggling, you're aimlessly wandering, the shepherd is searching you out. The shepherd is pursuing your heart. The shepherd is coming after you and bringing you back into the flock. The second thing is, we all know the sheep who have scattered. We all know the sheep who are just aimlessly wandering. And no one's left to go get them. No one's left the flock. No one's left the community to go search out in love and in truth and to bring them back. Good shepherds always go and bring them back. So tonight, I'm wondering if you know something like that. And again, that might be you. It might be mom, it might be dad. It might be sister, it might be your brother, it could be your friend. We all know sheep who wander. I wonder if this community will take the truth of the gospel. Will take the vivid details of what a shepherd is and what a shepherd does. And we will deeply love. That we will stick by, we will stand by, and sheep will stand, we will gather together, we will find defense and community. All surrounded in the center by the love and the revolutionary blessed word of the gospel of Jesus Christ. I wonder if you know something. I wonder if you're in that place. So as we respond to that, I pray that that's the way we respond as a community, as individuals. Father, tonight, as we find some of us our hearts in funky places, or just a sheep who's begging to know the shepherd's voice further, deeper, more vivid, and more clear. Father, potentially sheep who just wander, it's just so easy to wander. It's so easy to go out and search. In search of food on our own, in search of quote unquote grasping and greener on the other side. Father, we've just been left empty and wandering for so long. Father, I pray that you just pursue our hearts. Bring us back to the truth of the gospel. In the precious name of God.
As we continue to sing, if you want to stand up, feel free to stand up. If you want to go in the back, maybe just want to kind of take this time to pray. We just invite you just to worship in any way that you'd like to continue with us. Let's sing it with God. You're God of this city. You're the King of these people. You're the Lord of this nation. You are. 'Cause you're the light in this darkness. You're the hope to the hopeless. You're the peace to the restless. You are. 'Cause there is no one. 'Cause there is no one like our God. 'Cause there is no one like every blessing, into my heart to sing. Streams of mercy, streams of mercy, I never cease. They call for songs of God. Teach me song, teach me song, I love your song. Sung by flaming tongues above. Raise the heart.
hear our hearts. Here's our hearts. Father, keep us close to the shepherd's side. Keep us close to your heart. Father, so that this generation, so that this community, so that this group of individuals, this group of followers, this group of disciples, Father, that our unbelieving world would be able to see that you are the good shepherd, because we not only know your voice, but Father, we put our hope in you. Father, we trust you and rely on you. We know that you are the good shepherd who will always provide. Father, we know that you are the shepherd who brings us closer, who makes us lie down in green pastures, who brings us to waters that never cease, who brings us to places where the grass is green, who supplies every need that we have. And so, Father, I pray that you purge from my heart. I pray that you purge from the heart of this community the desire and the need to wander and try to figure it out on our own. Father, we love you. Thank you for being a good shepherd. Thank you for being patient with your directionless, aimless, defenseless sheep. So, Father, tonight we recognize that although we are aimless, and although we are directionless, Father, tonight we recognize that we have deep worth. And that worth is found through the identity of your Son. That worth is found in the identity of his blood. That worth is found in the identity of the cross. So, Father, may this community be marked by your cross. In precious name we pray. Amen. Say thanks to the band, guys. I've got a couple announcements. Hey, Larry. No, it's not there anymore. Let me see if I can just remember because I forgot out of my office. There's a couple announcements. If you're going to Honduras, there's still a couple spots left. If you haven't yet turned in your $100, get your $100 deposit in and reserve your spot. Those spaces are going to go. If you want to go, you need help. You're trying to sketch a little bit. You see that my almost gave up. And if you're kind of sketching a little bit, and you know, mom and dad are freaking out, and you see so whatever, just come and talk. We can help in areas that we can help. We just need to be communicating, so let us know. That's Honduras. I know coming up, there's a mother-daughter banquet, and I know that you can serve at that so you can get some money. I just don't know when. It's Saturday. Thank you, Robbie. It's this Saturday. So, in the fellowship hall at 6. Yes. At 6 o'clock, if you want to serve at the mother-daughter banquet, hopefully at 6 o'clock, it's going to be at the fellowship hall. Yes. Yes, the fellowship hall across the street. I know they're going to pay like $15. They're going to also help a little bit Honduras. So that's that. Adam, that's what say anything else?
It's not. We started the 2 weeks out on Twitter and everybody wants to know.
And anything else? Honestly? Because there was like this much on the announcement sheet.
Check that table in the back.
There's things that are not. Oh, Crucible grads. Raise your hand. Crucible, Christmas grads. Crucible. Josh needs more Crucible grads. Sign up in the back. He needs more help. Crucible is coming up. 2 weeks. So sign up, Crucible grads. Josh needs you. Make sure you sign up in the back. Hey guys, continue to read ahead. John chapter 10. We're gonna dig deep into John chapter 10 next week. Go ahead, marinate yourself into it, wrestle with it. There's a whole bunch, no pun intended, meat there. So get all up in it, and we're gonna unpack that next week. So. Francis House, semifinal stage, Madison Square Garden, roller hockey rink behind Brunswick. Now, yes. Awesome. Cool. Okay. Hey, love you guys. We'll see you next week. Same. Get out time. We'll see you next week.